Hey, so today was interesting. Like a lot of stocks kind of rested today. One of the major indices I track is the Russell 2000, and it was pretty flat to red today. But everything was pretty flat, even if it was slightly up. So that's kind of like what you'd see for like a correction day, kind of, because the buy programs have been so strong that there's not really any significant pullbacks a lot of times, at least in the indices. But I just ran through some scans, and I'm not trying to put on a lot of positions here because I've got lots of positions on, especially in these biotech. So I was just kind of been watching my watch list and some of these ETFs, like I've been talking for a long time about these dry bulk shippers and the Baltic Dry Index, which measures the price of shipping rates. It really bottomed out, like started a new trend a while back. I think I'm gonna pull that up just to so we can see what it's actually doing now, because it was really strong. It's the Baltic Dry Index. It's actually in a pullback now. Like we got that right here. It had a huge spike up, and a lot of these shipping stocks and even the oil tankers, and they had good runs too. So I kind of noticed that sector rotation came in about the same time as the Baltic Dry Index was bottoming, and they don't always like move together, but sometimes they do really well, especially in like the fall. The fall is when the shipping stocks have historically run, and I'm not I'm not a big fan of like seasonal predictions or yearly predictions, but that is maybe a coincidence or something there with the months, because it was always like October, November was when this really started to pick up like years back. There's a couple of years in a row where it did that, so I guess they're just it was just kind of like a speculation thing. But you can see the Baltic Dry Index actually pulled back a lot, like really spiked up. It's almost like a spike top, the way it came down really forcefully there. But the long-term chart's still really nice, because it basically, we had that down channel break when it broke over this blue line there. I hope you can see that. Like, I'm gonna blow it up a little bit just so it's super easy to see, a little easier to see. So we had that down channel break there. And I did a video on this like a month ago or so, maybe even back a couple months ago, because I found that IMPP. The IMPP is one of my favorite shipping stocks, and it was actually so cheap. It was selling for less than net tangible assets. I think it was even a net current asset stock, so it's like really cheap. The discount to the assets was there. So this one, so back to this index here, this spike's kind of concerning, because it really spiked and then just came back really fast, which is usually spike, like you see a spike top, like I was talking about, like spike tops are usually what you see. But it still has good technicals, because it has an uptrend still going back from here, so it could pan out like that. So it can still come back down to, was it like 1500? Looks like 1500 or so area. So even though it's selling off here pretty quickly, it tends to do that a lot, and it's not necessarily a broken trend. That's still a bullish chart. So we saw that with with the shipping ETF. So I started tracking this one. It's BDRY, the breakwave dry bulk shipping ETF, and it just broke out today again, and I think it's even a new 52-week high. Like it's really yeah, it's a high for this year at least. Looks like probably is like near 52-week high too. So see, it looks like there's a level right there. So that level actually held up a lot. I'm looking at this level here. It's about $10. So you can see it kind of failed right there once it hit that level. But just double checking to make sure this level's pretty accurate. Yeah. See, then it touched it there too. So it hit that level there, failed. Hit that level there, failed. There. Usually hit it a couple times, like it did like a double top. And there's a bull trap there. And it almost it started a bull trap again right there. Like it did a bull trap, but then came back down. Now it's well, it's not a bear trap, but it's a breakout. It's a breakout. So, and a really strong move today. Like I might go through this sector again and see what's actually moving, because the ones I had on watch some of them kind of fizzled out, except for the ship. Like the ship has been really nice, and I posted that one, the breakout yesterday. It broke out of this little triangle formation. So it usually does go with the sector, so it's looking pretty good actually. It's probably one of the better charts in the shippers. If my memory is correct, the fundamentals aren't very good on it though. Like they've had a lot of struggles over the years. Like it's not as good as like the GLGL or SBLK, but it does tend to track the industry. So see like all these big spike ups, they just fail, you know. So that's why it's not really a good stock to hold, but it could be a trade here still if it keeps breaking out, but it's got to break out again. And it actually just kind of based out and took out that level there. And yeah, that's the level there. So it kind of congested around there a while, which was bullish, and then broke out. But I've got some stuff that's going bad in my options book, and I've got some stuff that's going good. So I guess we'll look at the stuff going good because it looks like it's going to continue. I guess still have the snap puts on too, and there's a possibility we do get a pivot at some point, and we get a pullback. So maybe those will actually work out. But snaps had some pretty good relative strength. So the ones that are looking good now still is the Wriggle. Found that one back right when it broke that flag on that first day, and I've got calls on this one. A lot of these had calls, and the ABCL, I have calls on this one too. Excuse me, because it's pretty strong. It's got that creeping up kind of slow look, which can usually turn into pops. But I don't know the fundamentals on this. These are all just technical trades, and it'd probably take a lot of hours to figure out what the pipeline's like, and I'm not too savvy on analyzing biotechs fundamentally because there's a lot of medical jargon, and I mean, it's so specified with the medical field, but those ones are really good. Actually, the Wriggle ran a lot today, 6%, and some of the other ones are kind of hanging in there still, like EXEL still has a good chart, still got momentum, and ABEO still a really good chart. It's got a lot of momentum. It's holding trend, but it hasn't really broken out over that area there yet. So that's about the only thing interesting. Yeah, and the NOs, I have NO calls too, and it held up pretty well today too. Could be a high flag going there. So I went through some scans and didn't see anything super interesting, like as far as the big picture goes. My gap down scan only had 10 results, which is pretty low still. So even though the market wasn't up a ton today, the trend's still positive. Like there seems to be a lot more buying going on today, and at least in these sort of lower price stocks that I tend to track. So in the 52-week highs, there's a lot of 52-week highs too. And one of my scans is it's for a low price to earnings ratio, low PE. So it's a cheap valuation and high relative strength, where it's going up more than other stocks pretty much. So I haven't really looked at this one consistently, but it's something to look at if the market keeps rallying, because these low PE stocks are probably gonna get more of a full valuation. At least there's a potential for that. Like there's a lot of good charts in here too. Like a lot of these look like flags, like safe. And these PE ratios aren't exactly what I call low, but less than 20 is, I guess, is pretty low. So I may run through this scan more thoroughly at some point. But it's just a lot of steady uptrending charts, which is kind of nice for the momentum. So one of the things I noticed was the Biotech index. It's getting pretty close to this next level right here, so it might stall out, or it could blow past it, but there's probably going to be some kind of consolidation there at least. It's going to slow down. So that level is the previous high. Looks like my line was a little off there, but anyway, it's right around there. So that's the level it failed at. It did a double top back in from the winter 2022 to like January, February, topped out there. So it's really got to get past that if we're going to see any significant continuation. I think it probably will, just based on all the merger and acquisition activity going on. And if some companies are looking at acquisitions, then there's probably a lot of other ones seeing the same thing. So the TLT is kind of range bound too. Yeah, nothing really super interesting as far as a lot of my watch lists go. But there's a lot of stuff going, like these miners are still going, the Bitcoin miners. And I did put on Wolf calls pretty far over, like the strike was pretty high. Like I usually get out of the money, but if this thing goes, it's gonna go. And if it doesn't go, it's gonna come back a lot. So the fact that it held up pretty well today seems pretty telling to me. When you see like a lot of these were down, or pretty red. I mean, especially even any. And that could be like a short-term top or a top there, because the close didn't finish at the halfway point of that previous candle or higher, which isn't usually good. But these stocks have been pretty wild, so who knows? But to me, it looks like it's stalled out. And ARBK was up a lot too. It's kind of been, the other time it ran, it pulled back a lot. So, like back yesterday or the day before, it didn't really hold the gains. But there's a lot of volume in this still, and it's a breakout. So that was one of the other ones. Those held up in the BTBT. It's kind of similar to the Wolf, and the other ones, they're still holding up. Let's see what Riot did in Mara. Yeah, a little weaker. So yeah, Mara, it's kind of, Mara did the same thing as the other one. So yeah, like at the any, because it just finished really low. So we'll see what happens with that. So like in the meantime, I think there's only still a setup in the Wolf and the BTBT and the ARBK, because they just had the relative strength today. And XHB is kind of stalled out a little bit. There's really not much happened there. So yeah, that's about it. So that's like what I've been looking at, and I may run some more scans, and if I do, I'll post those on Twitter. There is still a lot of momentum out here, like I'm looking at this top gainer scan, and you can see a lot of stuff was up a lot today, like DATS. These are former runners too, like the MBOT. That thing can run. I think DATS is too. FT, huge run. Yeah, there's still a lot of stuff going here. Like the NKTX is just crazy. It's up even more. I found this one like when it was like $3. So yeah, there's still a lot of opportunities out there, and one of the trades I made today, I put on some rig puts. Like I was saying, I was saying that oil looks like a bear flag in the last video. So that bear flag, it's done a lot of bear flags. See, it did one there, there. So this is like the third or fourth one. Well, yeah, there's actually like a mini one right there, and it looks like it's breaking down off another bear flag. So I expect it to hit the lows there, like 64. So, but I opted for the rig puts because that one's actually been really good in sympathy off of oil, and it hasn't really moved that much too. Like it hasn't broken the bear flag yet. So it's kind of more speculative than just trading USO puts, but I think there's probably more. There's maybe a little more alpha in the rig if it gets the volatility. But usually the USO puts are good too. Like I really might put USO puts on too because they can move like 100% a day or two. But the rig's just been good for me. Like I made some trades on it before, and it's been following technicals pretty well. But we've got to see a breakdown of that this first to confirm. But I think there's a good chance it does break down with oil. So yeah, I'll just wrap it up there, and I'll catch you next time.